Rain made the pavement shine like black glass, and the city lights turned every puddle into a warning. Talia Brooks pulled her daughter closer, not because it was colder, but because people walked past them like they were part of the street furniture. Maya was 6, small enough to fold into Talia's coat, old enough to notice when adults looked away. A black SUV rolled to a stop at the curb, smooth and silent, the kind of car that belonged to people who never checked the price of anything. The rear door opened, and a man stepped out like the night had been waiting for him. He was tall, sharp suit, no umbrella, no rush. His expression had the calm of someone who controlled rooms without raising his voice. Talia's stomach tightened. Men like that did not stop for people like her. He looked at the cardboard, the thin blanket, the plastic bag with their whole life inside it. Then he looked at Maya. "You've been here for 2 nights," he said, not as a question. Talia's jaw set. "We're fine." The man's mouth barely moved. "You're not. Your daughter is trying to sleep with buses shaking her bones." Talia stood up slowly, like she was standing in court. "If you're filming this, I'm not interested. If you're trying to feel better about yourself, go donate to a charity and keep it moving." His eyes flicked, a hint of annoyance, but he stayed controlled. "No cameras." "Then what do you want?" Talia asked. He reached into his inner pocket and pulled out a card, black, heavy-looking, the kind people posted online like it was a trophy. He held it between 2 fingers. "My name is Miles Kensington," he said, "and I want to understand something." Talia almost laughed. "You came out here at midnight to understand something." He nodded once. "Yes." Maya's head lifted from Talia's coat. Her eyes were tired, but curious. Miles lowered himself to a crouch, so he was closer to Maya's height, not smiling, but softer. "Hello." Maya stared at him. "You're shiny," she said. Talia's heart jumped. "Maya." Miles glanced down at his watch. "Fair assessment." He stood again and looked at Talia. "I'm going to give you this card for 24 hours. Unlimited spending. No limit. No questions asked while the time runs." Talia blinked. "No." "I'm not offering charity," Miles said. "I'm offering a test." That word hit like a slap. "Test." Talia's voice went low. "We are not a science project." Miles's face did not change, but something in his eyes hardened. "I grew up believing people in your position are there because they choose it, because they are reckless, because they cannot handle opportunity. I want to see if that is true." Talia's hands curled into fists. "So you want to watch me fail and then tell yourself you were right?" Miles held the card out again. "If you spend it on yourself, on indulgence, on things that do not matter, then yes, I will know what I have always known." "And if I don't?" Talia asked, the words sharp enough to cut. Miles's jaw tightened. "Then I will know my father taught me poison." Silence. Rain hissed on the road. A taxi splashed through a puddle and did not stop. Talia looked down at Maya. Maya looked back up at her mum like she was waiting for the world to decide what kind of day tomorrow would be. Talia swallowed. "There's always a catch." Miles reached into his pocket again and pulled out a small envelope. "Inside is a phone number. If you want the test to end early, call it. If you want to keep the card, keep it. At exactly 24 hours from now, it stops working." Talia stared at him, then at the card, then at Maya's damp shoes. She hated every part of this, hated the power imbalance, hated the way he spoke like he owned truth, hated that he could walk back into his warm home tonight while she stayed on concrete. But she also knew something. Pride did not keep children warm. She took the card. Miles's eyes flicked, satisfied, like a man who thought he had already won. Talia met his gaze. "I'm not doing this for you," he nodded. "Do it for whoever you want." He turned and walked back to the SUV. Before the door closed, he looked back and said, "I will be watching, not from a screen, in person. I want to see who you really are when money stops being the excuse." Then he was gone, swallowed by the dark. Talia stood under the streetlight with a black card in her hand and a 6-year-old clinging to her side, and she felt something she had not felt in months. Danger and possibility. "Before we go any further, I want to ask you something." Where are you watching from right now? And what time is it for you? Drop it in the comments. And if you're here for stories about dignity, fairness, and real accountability, hit like and subscribe, because we do not let cruelty hide behind money in this channel. Talia did not sleep much. She kept the card in her pocket like it might vanish if she blinked. When the gray morning finally showed up, she folded the blanket, packed their plastic bag, and took Maya's hand. Maya yawned. Are we going to a house? Not yet, Talia said gently. First, we're going to do something important. Maya looked up. Breakfast? Talia smiled faintly. Yes, breakfast. The city was waking up. People with coffee cups and headphones moved fast, eyes ahead. The kind of people who had routines, the kind of people who could forget that other humans slept on the ground. Talia walked until she saw a small bakery on a corner. It was not fancy. It was warm, with foggy windows and the smell of butter and sugar drifting out like comfort. The sign above the door read, in curling letters, Rose and Rye. Maya stopped and inhaled like she was trying to eat the smell. It smells like birthdays, she said. Talia's throat tightened. Birthdays. She had missed Maya's birthday, not because she forgot the date. She knew the date down to the minute Maya was born. She missed it because they were sleeping rough, moving spots, staying out of sight, trying not to be noticed, trying not to be moved along like rubbish. On Maya's birthday, Talia had whispered a song into her hair and promised that one day she would do it properly. Maya had said, "It's okay, Mom. I still made a wish." Talia never asked what the wish was, because she was scared it would break her. Now they stood in front of a bakery, and the smell felt like a door opening. They walked inside. Warmth hit their faces. A bell chimed softly above the door. Behind the counter were trays of pastries, loaves of bread, and little cakes with glossy icing. A young woman behind the counter glanced up, smile already forming. Then she saw Talia's coat, the worn trainers, Maya's frizzy hair tied back with a stretched elastic. The smile changed. It did not vanish, but it thinned. "Morning," the woman said, careful. "Can I help you?" Talia nodded. "Yes, please. I'd like a small cake. The smallest you have, and a pack of candles." The woman blinked. "Cake?" "Yes," Talia said. "Small. Vanilla, if possible." The woman's eyes flicked to a man at the coffee machine, then back to Talia. "Do you have a card?" Talia felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I do." The woman hesitated. "We've had issues. People come in and then they run." Maya squeezed Talia's hand. "We don't run," Maya whispered. Talia leaned slightly over the counter, voice quiet. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to buy a cake." The woman swallowed. "It's just policy. Policy." That word again, like a shield people held up when they wanted to be unkind without admitting it. "I understand," Talia said, even though she did not. "Please show me the smallest cake." The woman turned and lifted a tiny cake from a fridge display. It was simple, white icing, a few strawberries. "That one," Talia said. The woman placed it in a box like she was handling something fragile that might shatter. She rang it up, then the candles, then looked at Talia with that cautious expression again. Talia slid the black card onto the counter. The woman's eyebrows rose. Her mouth opened slightly before she could stop it. She looked at the card like it had landed from another planet. "Tap here," the woman said quickly, suddenly polite. Talia tapped, approved. The little beep felt louder than it should have. The woman's face shifted, warmth rushing back, but now it was the kind that arrived too late. "Oh, lovely. Do you need napkins? We have a little corner table by the window. You can sit there if you like." Talia looked at her, not cruelly, not smug, just tired. "Thank you." They sat in the warm corner. Maya's feet swung under the chair. Talia opened the cake box carefully, like she was opening a memory. She stuck in the candles, hands trembling. Maya's eyes filled instantly. "Mom." "I know," Talia whispered. "I'm sorry it's late." Maya shook her head fast. "It's not late. It's now." Talia lit the candles with a lighter she bought months ago for emergency warmth. The flames flickered, small and brave. Maya clasped her hands and closed her eyes. Talia watched her lips move silently, watched her face soften into hope. When Maya opened her eyes, she looked up at her mum. "Do I blow?" "Yes," Talia said, voice breaking. "Blow." Maya blew. The candles went out. At the window, across the street, Miles Kensington stood under an awning, watching through the glass. He had no coffee, no phone in his hand. Just that sharp suit, that still posture, and eyes that looked less certain than they had last night. He watched the child make a wish and smile like the world had not beaten her down yet. Something cracked in him, tiny but real. Miles turned his face slightly away as if the light in the bakery was too bright. His throat moved. He did not wipe his eyes. He simply stood there, motionless, as if he had forgotten how to leave. Talia cut a small slice and pushed it towards Maya. "Eat, love." Maya took a bite and sighed. "It tastes like we're okay," she said. Talia swallowed hard. "We are okay. We're going to be better than okay." They ate slowly, not because there was much cake, but because moments like that deserve time. When they finished, Talia packed the box carefully. "Right," she said. "Next." Maya blinked. "More cake?" Talia smiled. "No, sweetheart. Next is practical." They left the bakery, warmth clinging to them like a coat. Miles moved, keeping his distance. Talia walked to a chemist and bought basic toiletries, toothpaste, shampoo, sanitary pads, hand cream to soothe cracked skin, plasters for Maya's heels. She bought a small pack of vitamins because Maya's ribs had started to show more than a child's should. Then she went to a budget clothing shop, but she did not head for the bright dresses or the trainers. She picked 2 plain sets of warm underwear, thick socks, and a simple jumper for Maya. She did not choose anything that looked like a fantasy. She chose survival. Miles watched from behind a newspaper stand, jaw tight. Talia went to a launderette next. She bought wash tokens, dried their clothes properly, and sat with Maya while the machines hummed. She bought Maya a hot chocolate from the vending machine and did not apologize for it. Maya sipped it slowly, eyes half closed. "Mum, are we rich?" Talia's stomach twisted. "No, baby." "Then why is the card working?" Maya asked. Talia hesitated, then spoke carefully. "A man gave it to me. He wants to see what I do with it." Maya frowned. "Like a teacher?" "Something like that," Talia said, holding Maya's hands to warm them. Maya thought for a moment. "Then we should do good things," she said simply. Talia's eyes stung. "Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do." When the laundry was done, Talia went to a mobile phone shop. She bought a cheap phone, pay-as-you-go, with enough credit for calls and data. Not a flashy model, just something that worked. She wrote down 3 numbers in the Notes app immediately. The first was the local council housing line. The second was a women's support service she had been too ashamed to call before. The third was a primary school office, because Maya needed stability and Talia was done pretending they could keep drifting. Miles watched her by the phone and felt his own assumptions shifting like loose stones under his feet. Next, Talia went to a small supermarket. She bought a bag of fruit, bread, peanut butter, bottled water, and a few easy meals that did not require cooking. She bought a packet of biscuits because Maya's eyes kept flicking to them. "Mom," Maya whispered, "we're not supposed to." Talia looked at her. "We're supposed to be human," she said. "Pick a packet." Maya chose the plainest biscuits, still cautious, still trained to be small. Talia's heart broke again. Midday came. The city got louder. Talia checked the time. She had less than 20 hours left on the card, and she still had the biggest thing to handle, a bed, not a hotel, not a one-night comfort that would end with them back on the street. Something that could start a real change. She walked into a community center she had seen before, but never entered. The entrance smelled like cleaning product and old carpet. On the wall, a notice board showed flyers for food banks, job support, counseling. A woman at reception smiled. A real smile. "Hi, love. You all right?" Talia exhaled like her lungs had been holding air for months. I'm not sure, but I want to be. The woman nodded, calm. Come sit. What's your name? Talia, this is Maya. I'm Simone, the woman said. Right, tell me what's going on. Talia's voice trembled. We've been sleeping rough. I need help getting into a safe place. I can pay for a deposit. I can pay for a week or two up front. I just need someone to tell me what the right step is. Simone looked at Talia's face, then Maya's, and her expression softened. You don't have to do this alone. We'll start with emergency accommodation, then we'll talk longer term. Do you have any documents? Talia nodded quickly. A few, not all. Some were lost. Simone reached for a form. Okay, we'll work with what we've got. Miles stood across the road again, watching through the glass doors. He had expected chaos. He had expected impulsive spending or anger or celebration. Instead, he was watching a woman build a bridge out of small, careful choices. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. A message from his father, Gerald Kensington. One line. Still watching your little experiment? Miles's jaw tightened. The rest of the message followed. Remember what I taught you. People like that always reveal themselves once they think they can take. Miles did not reply. He watched Talia sign papers with shaking hands, watched her lift Maya onto her hip when Maya got tired, watched her thank Simone 3 times, like kindness was something you had to earn. He remembered being 6 years old in a mansion, crying because he had fallen and scraped his knee. He remembered his father looking down at him and saying, "If you act weak, people will use you." He remembered learning, very young, that compassion in that house was treated like a disease. Now he was watching compassion keep a child alive. Late afternoon, Simone walked Talia to a small office. "We can get you 2 nights in a hostel room," she said. "Not forever, but it's warm and safe. We'll keep pushing for more." Talia nodded, relief flooding her. "Thank you." Simone lowered her voice. "Can I ask something? You seem very prepared today, like you're finally able to move." Talia swallowed. "Someone gave me a chance. I don't know why." Simone held her gaze. "Sometimes the why doesn't matter. The choices do." Talia nodded. "Then I want to choose properly." She and Maya left with directions to the hostel and a voucher for dinner. Maya held the paper like it was treasure. "We have a room," she whispered. Talia smiled, but her eyes stayed serious. "For 2 nights. We still have to keep going." Maya nodded like an adult. "We will." As they walked, Miles stepped out from behind a parked car and approached, finally closing the distance. Talia's shoulders tightened immediately. "You again." Miles stopped a few feet away. He looked different now, not kinder exactly, but less certain, less cold. "I saw the bakery," he said quietly. Talia's face hardened. "So you got your entertainment." "It wasn't entertainment," Miles said. His voice was low, almost rough. "Why the cake?" Talia stared at him, then looked away. "Because I missed her birthday." Miles's brow creased. "How?" Talia's laughter was short and bitter. "How do you think? We were sleeping rough. I was trying to keep her warm, trying to keep her safe. I didn't have candles. I didn't have cake. I had a blanket and a promise." Miles's throat moved. "And she still made a wish." Talia snapped her eyes back to him. "Did you hear that?" Miles held her gaze, and for the first time, he did not look above her. He looked level. "I watched her." Talia's voice dropped. "Then you saw how your world treats people like us, even when we're trying to do something gentle, even when we're just buying cake." Miles's jaw clenched. "I saw." Talia took a step closer, not threatening, but firm. "You wanted to test me because you think poor people are reckless. You think we make bad choices. You think we deserve this." Miles did not interrupt. Talia continued. "Do you know what reckless looks like? Reckless is walking past a child on the pavement and telling yourself it's not your problem. Reckless is building a life so insulated you forget that hunger exists. Reckless is using a card as bait to confirm what you already decided. Miles flinched, small but real. Talia exhaled. I'm not going to spend your money on nonsense, not because I'm trying to impress you, because my daughter deserves better than survival. Maya looked up at Miles. Are you the man with the card? She asked. Miles looked down at her. Yes. Maya tilted her head. Why did you give it to my mom? Miles hesitated. Then, carefully, because I thought she would waste it. Maya blinked, then said, That's mean. Talia sucked in a breath, half embarrassed, half proud. Miles stared at Maya like she had slapped him. Yes, he said quietly. It was mean. Maya nodded once like she'd solved a problem. You should say sorry. Miles looked at Talia. His pride fought him for a second. Then he spoke, simple. I'm sorry. Talia did not soften immediately. Sorry doesn't fix a system, Miles nodded. No, it doesn't. Talia turned away. We've got somewhere to be. Miles stepped back, letting them pass, but he spoke again. What will you do with the rest of the day? Talia glanced at him. Keep moving forward. Miles nodded. Then I'll keep watching. Talia's eyes narrowed. No, don't watch. Learn. Miles' face tightened. I'm trying. They walked on. As the evening fell, Talia used the card to do one more thing that mattered. She walked back to the community center and she donated to their emergency fund. Not a huge, flashy amount that screamed for attention, but enough to cover several family food parcels and a stack of school uniforms vouchers. Simone stared at the receipt. Talia, are you sure? Talia nodded. I don't want Maya to be the only child who gets a warm corner. Simone's eyes filled. Bless you. Talia shook her head. No blessing, just action. That night in the hostel room, Maya sat on the bed and bounced like it was a trampoline. It's soft, she squealed. Talia laughed, the sound rusty from disuse. Careful, Maya flopped onto the pillow. Mom, can we stay here forever? Talia sat beside her, brushing hair from her forehead. Not here, but somewhere. We're going to get somewhere. Maya's voice went small. Do you promise? Talia swallowed. I promise I will not stop. Maya nodded, sleepy already. My wish, it was that you don't cry in the bathroom anymore. Talia froze. She had never told Maya about the bathroom cries, but children heard everything. They felt everything. Talia's face crumpled. She pressed her forehead to Maya's. I'm trying, love. I'm trying. Maya patted her cheek like she was the mum. It's okay. You can cry in the bed now. Beds are safe. Talia let a tear slip. All right. Outside the hostel, Miles sat in his car, parked a discreet distance away. His driver looked at him through the rearview mirror. Sir, shall we head home? Miles stared at the building, lights glowing behind curtains. Not yet. He picked up his phone, thumb hovering over his father's contact. He did not call. Instead, he opened a note and wrote a sentence he never thought he would write. If my beliefs require a child to sleep on cardboard to stay true, then my beliefs are wrong. He stared at it for a long time. Then he deleted it. Not because it was untrue, because it felt like a confession. Morning came fast. Talia woke early, not because she wanted to, but because survival trained her to wake before the world could hurt her. Maya slept curled like a comma, warm, breathing evenly. Talia looked at her for a full minute, just watching, letting her chest rise and fall without fear. Then she got up and started making a plan. She used the phone to call the women's support service. Her voice shook at first, but steadied as she spoke. Yes, she said. I left. Yes, it got worse before it got better. Yes, I need advice. No, I don't want to go back. She wrote down steps. She booked an appointment. She asked about legal support. Then she called the school. She asked what documents they needed, how quickly Maya could start, what uniform was required. She listened carefully, asked questions, thanked them. After that, she took Maya out and bought second-hand school shoes, plain, sturdy. She bought a backpack. Not a character-themed one, just a solid one that would last. Maya tried it on and turned around. "Do I look like a schoolgirl?" Talia smiled. "You look like my girl, and you look ready." Maya grinned. "I am." Miles watched again, but this time he did not hide. He walked a few steps behind, hands in his coat pockets, face thoughtful. Talia noticed him and stopped. "You don't have to trail us like a detective." Miles stopped too. "I'm not trailing you. I'm staying close." Talia laughed without humor. "Why? So you can judge my choices in real time?" Miles shook his head. "No. So I can stop being the kind of man who watches suffering from a distance and calls it observation." Talia studied him. "That's a nice sentence. Does it change anything?" Miles's eyes were tired. "Not yet, but it has to start somewhere." Talia turned and kept walking. "Then start by not making this about you." Miles nodded once. "Fair." Around midday, it happened. They went into a small department store because Maya needed a warm coat. Not designer, just warm. Talia found one on sale, simple, padded. As she walked to the till, a security guard stepped closer. Not subtle. Close enough to feel his breath. The cashier looked at Talia's hands, not her face. "That one's on sale," she said, slow. "Do you have money?" Talia kept her voice calm. "I have a card." The cashier's lips pressed together. "Sometimes cards decline." Talia nodded. "Then it declines." The security guard shifted closer. "We've had theft," he said. Talia's spine stiffened. "So you decided it was me." The guard's eyes flicked to Maya, then away. "I'm just doing my job." Talia looked at Maya. Maya's smile was gone. Her body had gone still in that way children do when they sense danger. Talia faced the cashier. "Ring it up." The cashier did, hands a bit too slow, like she was stretching the humiliation out. Talia tapped the black card. Approved. The guard's shoulders loosened. The cashier's face changed instantly. "Oh," she said. "There you go. Have a lovely day." Talia took the bag and did not smile. "You too." They walked out. Maya's voice was small. "Mum, did I do something wrong?" Talia stopped and crouched in front of her. "No, you did nothing wrong." "Then why did they look at us like that?" Maya asked. Talia held Maya's hands. "Because some people think if you don't look like them, or live like them, you must be bad. It's not true. It's their problem." Maya frowned. "It feels like our problem." Talia's throat tightened. "I know, but listen to me. You are not a problem. You are a person." Maya nodded, but her eyes stayed worried. Behind them, Miles Kensington stood frozen on the pavement. He had seen boardroom cruelty. He had seen competitors destroyed with paperwork and smiles. But watching a child question her own worth because adults decided she looked suspicious was a different kind of violence. Miles took a breath, and his voice came out hard. "That should never happen." Talia stood, face tired. "It happens every day." Miles's jaw clenched. "Not if I can stop it." Talia stared at him. "You can't stop it with one dramatic gesture." Miles nodded. "Then I won't do one dramatic gesture." For a moment, he looked like a man standing on the edge of himself. Then he said quietly, "Can I ask you something?" Talia folded her arms. "Go on." Miles looked at Maya, then back to Talia. "If you had this card with no limit and no one watching, what would you do with it?" Talia did not answer fast. She thought. Then she said, "Honest. I'd do exactly what I'm doing. Because this is what I needed before the card. Stability. A way back into life." Miles nodded slowly, like he was letting it sink in. "My father would call that boring." Talia's eyes sharpened. "Your father doesn't know what survival looks like." Miles's voice went low. "No, he knows. He just decided it was entertaining." Talia watched him, and for the first time, she saw something under the suit. A boy who had been trained to be cold. A man who was starting to feel the cost of that training. If you've ever been judged in a shop, Followed around, spoken to like you're guilty before you've done anything? I want you to tell me in the comments. What happened and how did you handle it? Let's talk about it because too many people pretend this doesn't exist. Hours passed. The card still worked. The time still counted down. Talia kept making choices. She paid for a short course voucher at a local college, something she could complete quickly to improve her job prospects. She did not brag about it. She simply paid and tucked the paperwork into her bag like it was a seed. She replaced Maya's broken inhaler spacer, something she had been trying to manage without because it cost money. She bought a small suitcase from a charity shop so they did not have to carry plastic bags that tore and made them look like they belonged to nobody. Then, she went back to the community center and asked Simone for advice again, not because she could not decide, but because she wanted to do it right. Simone looked at the list of things Talia had done and shook her head slowly. You've been carrying the world by yourself, haven't you? Talia's voice cracked. Yes. Simone leaned forward. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. Talia blinked fast, refusing to cry in front of anyone, but failing anyway. Simone slid a tissue across. It's all right. Miles stood in the hallway, hearing it all. He felt his own eyes sting again, and this time he did not turn away. He walked out, pulled his phone up, and called someone he had not called for help in years. His assistant answered quickly. Mr. Kensington? Miles's voice was steady, but something in it had changed. Clear my calendar for the next 3 months. I'm going to be doing different work. A pause. Of course. For what project? Miles looked back at the community center doors. For the kind of work that stops children sleeping on cardboard. Another pause, this one heavier. Understood. Miles ended the call. Then his father called. Miles looked at the screen. Gerald Kensington. He answered. His father's voice was sharp, amused. So, did she spend it on handbags and nonsense? Miles' voice was calm. She bought a birthday cake first. A scoff. A trick. Sentimental bait. Miles's hand tightened around the phone. She missed her child's birthday while sleeping rough. Gerald's laugh was thin. And life is harsh. People sink or swim. Miles's voice dropped. She is swimming with a child on her back. Gerald's tone cooled. Don't get emotional, Miles. You will embarrass yourself. Miles stared at the pavement. I'm already embarrassed. Silence on the line. Gerald spoke slowly, dangerous. Careful. Miles's jaw clenched. I have been careful my whole life. That's the problem. Gerald's voice turned icy. Remember who built your world, Miles replied, quiet and deadly. And remember who it was built on. He ended the call. When the final hours approached, Talia's body started to shake with exhaustion. Not from spending, but from decision after decision, every choice carrying the weight of a future. Maya grew quiet too, overstimulated, tired, still adjusting to the fact that adults could say yes to them. Talia checked the time. 2 hours left. Miles approached her outside the hostel. The card will stop soon, he said. Talia nodded. I know. Miles hesitated. What happens after? Talia looked at him, eyes steady. After we keep going, with or without you. Miles nodded slowly. That's the answer I was afraid of. Talia lifted her chin. Why? Because it proves you never needed me to be saved, Miles said. You needed the barriers removed. Talia's voice was firm. Exactly. Miles took a breath. Then I want to remove barriers, not play hero. Talia studied him. You can't buy your way into being a good person. Miles nodded. I know. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small key card, not a bank card. I've arranged a flat, not a luxury showpiece, a clean, safe 2-bedroom, 6 months paid. In your name, not mine. No cameras, no press, it's near Maya's school. Talia's chest tightened instantly. No. Miles did not push it closer. He simply held it. Hear me. Talia's voice rose. This is still you deciding. Miles's eyes stayed steady. No. This is me responding to what you already chose. You chose stability. You chose safety. You chose a future. Talia's hands trembled, And what do you get out of it? Miles swallowed. I get to stop lying to myself. Talia stared at him, suspicion fighting hope. And after 6 months? Miles nodded. After 6 months, you'll have options, the course, the job support, the school stability, and I will keep funding the community center quietly, not for applause. I'll also pay for legal advice so you can deal with whatever put you on the street in the first place. Talia's eyes narrowed. You don't even know why we ended up there. Miles's voice softened. Then tell me. Not because I need to judge it, because I need to understand what my city does to mothers. Talia's throat tightened. She looked at Maya. Maya looked up at her mom. Is it safe? She asked. Talia knelt. I don't know yet. Maya's voice was small. I like the bed. Talia's heart squeezed. She stood again and faced Miles. If this comes with strings, I will cut them. Miles nodded immediately. No strings. Talia's voice went low. Then why not just give money to the council and fix it properly? Miles exhaled. Because I can do both, and because I have been hiding behind systems that move too slowly for children who are cold tonight. Talia stared at him, then looked away, tears rising despite her. I hate that this is what it takes. Miles nodded, eyes damp. So do I. Talia took the key card, but not like a gift, like a responsibility, like a tool. She held it up. This does not make you good. Miles swallowed. I know. Talia nodded once. Then prove it by showing up when it's not dramatic. Miles's voice was quiet. I will. The card stopped working at midnight. Nothing exploded. No big music, no crowd. Just a woman and her child walking into a clean, warm flat with 2 rooms, a kettle, fresh bedding, and a window that closed properly. Maya ran from room to room, laughing softly like she was afraid to disturb the air. Talia stood in the doorway, hand on the wall, as if she needed proof it was real. Miles stayed outside. He did not step over the threshold. He did not claim the space. He spoke from the hallway. I'll leave. Simone has my number if you need anything. You don't have to call me. Talia looked at him. You said you'd be consistent. Miles nodded. Consistency means not demanding access. It means being reliable at a distance too. Talia stared at him for a long moment. Then she said, Thank you. For the flat, not for the test. Miles flinched slightly. That's fair. He turned to leave. Maya ran to the doorway and looked up at him. Mr. Miles? Miles stopped. Yes? Maya held up her small cake box from the bakery, now empty except for crumbs. My birthday was nice. Miles's throat tightened. I'm glad. Maya tilted her head. Are you going to be nice now? Miles crouched, meeting her eyes. I'm going to try every day. Maya nodded, satisfied. Okay, then you can go. Miles almost smiled. Understood. He stood and left, footsteps fading down the corridor. Talia closed the door and slid down against it, shaking, crying silently, not from pity, but from the release of pressure she had carried for too long. Maya climbed into her lap. Mom, she whispered, your eyes are leaking. Talia laughed through tears. They are. Maya hugged her. Beds are safe, she said again. Talia held her close. Yes, beds are safe. Weeks passed. Miles did not vanish, but he also did not hover. Every Monday, a grocery voucher arrived through Simone at the community center, no name attached, just help. Every month the rent was paid, confirmed in writing, no surprise. A legal advisor met with Talia and helped her start the process of dealing with the man she had run from, the paperwork, the threats, the control disguised as love. A job coach helped Talia update her CV, apply for roles, practice interviews. Maya started school. She came home with drawings and spelling words and stories about friends. Talia started to look like herself again, not because money fixed everything, but because stability gave her room to breathe. Miles started changing too. He visited the community center quietly, not with cameras, not with a speech. He sat with Simone and listened to the list of needs. He funded emergency beds, not just one hostel, several. He paid for school uniform grants, transport passes, counseling sessions for children who had learned too early how to be afraid. He faced his father in a boardroom one afternoon, the air thick with polished wood and expensive aftershave. Gerald Kensington leaned back in his chair. "So you've become a saint." Miles's voice was calm. "No, I'm becoming accountable." Gerald smirked. "Accountable to who? The streets?" Miles looked around the table at executives who had laughed at suffering for years. "Accountable to reality." Gerald's eyes narrowed. "You think this woman changed you?" Miles replied, steady. "She reminded me what you stole." Gerald's smile vanished. "Watch your mouth." Miles did not raise his voice. "Watch your legacy." Gerald stood up, anger sharp. "You will destroy everything I built." Miles met his gaze. "If what you built requires cruelty to survive, then it deserves to fall." Silence held the room. Then one executive cleared his throat and looked down at the papers. Not loyalty, fear. Miles realized something in that moment. His father's power had always been a performance, and performances ended when the audience stopped clapping. Months later, Talia stood in the community center and watched another mother sign paperwork, hands shaking, eyes wide. Talia walked over and sat beside her, voice gentle. "You're safe here." The woman looked at her. "Are you okay now?" Talia nodded. "I'm getting there," the woman whispered. "How?" Talia glanced at Maya across the room, laughing with another child, alive in a way she had not been when she was sleeping rough. Talia replied softly, "A lot of small choices, and some barriers moved." Outside, Miles arrived with a folder. No suit this time, just a simple coat. He handed Simone documents. Simone scanned them and stared. "This is huge," Miles nodded. "It's a long-term fund. Housing support, legal support, school support, managed by people who actually do the work, not by me." Simone looked up. "Why?" Miles's voice was quiet. "Because a child asked me if I was going to be nice now, and I realized I'd spent my life being impressive instead of being decent." He paused, then added, "And because I don't want to be a one-day savior. I want to be part of a system that does not need saviors." Simone nodded slowly. "That's the first smart thing a rich man said to me in a long time." Miles gave a small, tired smile. "I'm learning." Talia walked out and saw him. Miles stood, respectful distance, hands visible, no ownership in his posture. Talia's eyes were steady. "You kept showing up." Miles nodded. "You told me to." Talia studied him. "You're still not good." Miles swallowed. "I know." Talia's mouth lifted slightly. "But you're trying, and trying consistently counts." Miles's eyes softened. "How are you?" Talia exhaled. "Tired, but not scared all the time." Miles nodded, relief quiet. "Good." Talia looked at him, then said, "Maya wants to invite you to her school assembly next week. She's reading a poem." Miles froze. "Me?" Talia nodded. "But don't make it a big thing." Miles replied quickly. "I won't." Talia's gaze sharpened. "And Miles?" "Yes?" "If the press ever shows up, if your father ever tries to spin this, I'm gone. I won't be someone's storyline." Miles nodded, serious. "Understood." As he turned to leave, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, one line. "Ask Talia about case number 14-7B. She never told you the full truth." Miles stared at it, then looked back toward the center where Talia and Maya stood. A seed of unease settled in his stomach, not because he thought Talia was lying for profit, but because he had learned something about survival. People kept secrets when the truth could get them hurt. He put the phone away without showing anyone. Consistency meant patience, too. That night, Talia tucked Maya into bed in their flat, real bed, clean sheets. Maya whispered, "Mom, did my wish work?" Talia kissed her forehead. "Which wish?" Maya smiled sleepily. "The one where you don't cry in the bathroom anymore." Talia's throat tightened. "It's working." Maya yawned. "Good, because I like when you smile." Talia smiled into the dark. "Me too." In the quiet, Talia thought about the test, the humiliation, the card, the eyes on her in shops. She thought about how easily people assumed she was guilty. She thought about how dangerous it was that one rich man could change her life with a decision while the system stayed slow for everyone else. Then she thought about her own choices. The cake first, the candles, the warm corner, the wish. And she realized something she wanted you to carry too. Money can open doors, but it cannot teach love. Power can move barriers, but it cannot replace dignity. And the world will always try to tell you who you are when you're at your lowest. Your job is to refuse the lie. If this story moved you, share where you're watching from and tell me this. If someone handed you an unlimited card for one day, what would you spend it on and why? And if you believe dignity matters, fairness matters, and real accountability matters, hit like and subscribe.